Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm super excited about this webinar because the mental aspect of freeriding is fascinating, I find. And it's the first time ever that I'm gonna be able to face all my experience with a professional psychologist. We really want you to be a part of this webinar, so send all your questions, and at the end of each topic, we'll try to answer as many as we can. Follow me. Grab yourself a drink, and I'll see you very shortly for the Audi Masterclass.
Xavier, 30 seconds, 3, 2, 1, go!
Salut, welcome and servus, ladies and gentlemen, out of beautiful Verbier to the interactive and digital Audi Masterclass. What a pleasure to have you joining from all across Switzerland or even abroad. As you know, COVID this time still a topic, so we just want to let you know that we took all safety precautions in order to keep us safe here in Verbier. We got tested numerous times ahead of tonight's show, so we should be all fine off. Risk management and the psychological aspects of freeriding are on the agenda today, and together with you and obviously all of us, we want to tackle those topics during the next 65 to 70 minutes. As we want to jump right at it, I want you to introduce you to tonight's panel. I know he doesn't need a lot of introduction, but still, it's my job to do so. 3 times Freeride World Tour winner, Audi ambassador, father of 3 girls, and at the forefront, an influential figure of big mountain snowboarding during the past 25 years, Monsieur Xavier Delerue. Bonsoir, Xavier.
Hello guys, and hello everyone. It's really nice to be back in this Audi Masterclass. Yeah, we did one last year. And it was nice, we kind of went a bit on the topic of freeriding, kind of general, and this year we dived deeper. It's, yeah, I've loved always the mental aspect of freeriding, and I'm super happy to have Jörg Wetzel here. He's a sports psychologist, I was saying it before. But yeah, I'm happy to face a little bit all the theory that all the practicality that I've been putting, into my mindset in freeriding, and see what he thinks of it and see what he can bring me, yeah.
You took already a lot of my words away, so thanks for that. Very much looking forward to also listen to your stories. Obviously, a lot of experience under your belt, 25 years at the forefront of big mountain snowboarding in, I'd say, one of the most dynamic surroundings human can experience, big mountain freeriding in mountains general, covered in snow.
Yeah, freeriding is a bit of a tough sport, and I think it's kind of a bit different from any other action sports, because you've got like a lot of variables, and we kind of function on a, on a means which is the snowpack, which is something which is very unpredictable, which has a lot of tricks. So there's so much intensity into the practice of it, into big lines, that it has a bit of a mental process, which we're going to go through.
Absolutely. So let me follow up and continue with the man to your right, a man who is very busy these days, and not just these days. He is coaching high-performance athletes since more than 20 years as a sports psychologist. He is a big part of the National Olympic Committee ahead of the Olympics, and he is working with businessmen along their way to high success since more than 2 decades. A pleasure, Jörg Wetzel, to have you with us and to give us the scientific background to what Xavier experienced, and what hopefully also all our listeners and followers out there experienced day by day out in the field.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited to be here, and it's an honor to sit next to you. I think I'm looking very forward to our combination. Maybe you a little bit more the practitioner. I'm not the scientist, but the psychologist, and maybe you part more interesting. I hope not my part too boring.
I'm sure not.
And the combination of them.
And that's what it is. We are very much looking forward to melt those two parts, the practical side of Xavier. We might be interesting what you did wrong the last 25 years, as Jörg probably might know from a scientific point of view. Well, and last but not least, the man to my left, in order to transform all the things we hear and learn throughout today's masterclass, to transform all those learnings into daily life, no matter if it's business, school, or leisure. Super happy to have you, Simon Kegler, Destination Marketing, Audi Switzerland, and you obviously will tune us in on the brand side, on the psychological aspects, basically, into daily life. Simon, first question to you. Why did you decide to come up with a second webinar after last year's success together with Xavier?
Yeah, it's actually pretty simple. At Audi, our mission is to create, meaningful and fascinating experiences for everyone. And it starts when you get into one of our cars, which I encourage everyone to do, obviously. But it's also when you come to an event or when we do a digital format like this. And we look at the possibilities that we have. And obviously, with Xavier, we've had a great partner over the last couple of years. And he's gone through some changes with us, embarking on this electromobility road. And from day one, he was really all for it. And that just showed that he has a very similar mindset. We share a lot of values and a lot of beliefs. And at the heart of that, I think, is, his desire to always progress and get better and never be, never stay at the same spot. And I think for us, it was an absolute no-brainer just to come back with a second edition.
A lot of roses, Xavier.
Yeah, it's true that it's always been my mindset to try new things. And electromobility was definitely one of them, where you're like, okay, does this work? Everybody has questions about it. How, am I going to make the switch? Is it worth it? Does it function well? And I've had my car for a year, and you've given me the chance to basically do that switch. Which is a privilege, I'm fully aware. But at the beginning, I went, with all this hesitation, but then slowly I've been just loving it more and more. And now I'm a full convert. I've done over 20,000 kilometers with my e-tron. And it's an amazing car, and I think I will never go back to a normal car. So thanks for that.
All right. Well, gentlemen, I guess it's time to get going. Let's define the goals and targets for the next hour real quick. Xavier, obviously a lot to tell, a lot to talk about. But I guess as a baseline, we want to take as many learnings and as many transformations as possible into daily life for all of you out there following us here in Verbier.
Yeah, I think it could be inspiring to maybe, that I explain a little bit, my theory, like the way I kind of work with that fear, with that intensity, with all that mental aspect of freeriding, and kind of try to break it down and have Jörg, bring his counterpart and all the kind of book theory and see, as you said, maybe I did some stuff wrong, maybe I could improve. I'm sure I will learn a ton of things, but to me, this is, it's not just about explaining, it's also about learning a lot tonight.
Jörg, if I'm saying we try to showcase how risk management in general and dealing with fear can help us to overcome challenges in daily life, is this a good summary for what we want to try to achieve tonight?
I think absolutely. So we can combine it in action sport like you're doing, and in the everyday life too. So it's the same. So it's about persons, it's about mental toughness, about resilience in every spaces. Mm-hmm.
3 chapters we're gonna have up for you: planning and preparation, the action phase, action chapter, and the third one will be the reflection one. Well, and we said it's all about being interactive, it's all about doing it with you together. So we are obviously want you to work closely with us. Send us your questions anytime, and especially work with the interactive Slido tool. You can see in the sidebar, simply scan the QR code or type in the link, and you will be able to be in the thick of it. We're gonna look very, very much forward to what you have to tell us and how you do vote on different polls and how do you formulate the questions, either for Jörg, for Xavier, or for Simon. All right, I guess that's it. We get going. Planning and preparation, laying the seed, phase one. And before we start the talks, we want to get you in the right mood with a quick clip. A solid base, a solid foundation, Xavier, is the first step towards success in any way in life, I guess. No matter if you're building a house or no matter if you want to ride a line, no matter if you want to be good in your job, you need to lay a solid foundation. How did you and how do you tackle that topic last 25 years and also nowadays?
When I'm freeriding, that's a good point, because I think people might often have the image of us, you know, thinking that we ride these big lines every day and that we just get in there, you know, just looking for the adrenaline. You know, there's a little bit of a cliche around freeriding, and I think people don't realize the amount of work that there is in every single line, and I think this is really a key thing. And you know, I've kind of developed it along the way. You know, you do your mistake, you grow. We always have a bit of a team when we go up in the mountains. This has been always super important to, you know, counter all the ideas that you have and build up a certain kind of routine that you take in every day, like every day's big line, I would say. And I think that when I go up in the mountains, you know, I really have the feeling that I differentiate really the way I analyze the mountain first. So I'm going to be thinking in a really rational way. You know, I'm going to see a mountain, I'm going to see a few different lines, and then I'm going to try to really analyze all the different aspects. So I'm going to kind of shift my brain a bit in a mathematical, okay, this cliff, this dangerous, this thing. You know, I'm going to try to kind of have everything is an Excel file into my brain. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As it's so much needed to go into that topic, I would like to grab the presenter and help us with your way of planning and preparation on the subject of this, I would say, dreamland we are seeing here in front of us, while Jörg is already listening and following closely, because I'm 100% sure he's very interested to hear how you did it.
It's
without
funny
really knowing how it's done.
Yeah, we're picking up really the big line of the big lines. But anyways, that one was in Alaska, like a while back in the middle of a glacier, and got up at 2 o'clock from my tent and had to hike to the top like around 6 hours and get there. But anyways, we're not there yet. We're not into the moment where you dive in. Like, you stand in front of that face, and how do you digest it? How are you going to choose which line you're going to be doing? So like, if yeah, like I'm trying to get this thing going. Yeah, you see at the top, like, this is the first big danger. I'm going to try to tell you a little bit all the factors that I will be analyzing when I'm in front of it.
Sorry to jump in, the rational ones first of all, as you said.
Yeah, exactly, like all the facts. Mm-hmm. Like, so this is what I will try to gather. So first of all, these cornices, there's this big one at the top which is huge. You can see the size of me down there. I'm like a little dot, and the cornice is like almost like 10 meters, if not bigger. So if this goes, you know, you need to kind of analyze the consequences. And then you've got all this kind of cliff in the middle, which makes all the top part above it be a no-fall zone. I know that the only entryway will be in this section, and I know that it will be hard to find it when I'm at the top, but that's something that will be manageable. And then I know that for the whole beginning of my run, I'm going to have to find a way to get through this, and I'm going to have to be able, when I'm in the face, to find the entry point. And I know that the snow will be different on all the sunny aspects compared to the shadowy aspects. I know that there's going to be slough going always underneath me, etc., etc. You know, like, the process of analyzing a line is freaking endless, because there are so many factors that you have to put together. And this is such a hard fact.
Different lines as possibilities, or there's only one line you can write?
No, like as much as we can, we try to have one line. You don't want to be too specific about what you're going to be doing. You need to leave yourself a little bit of freedom to improvise a tiny bit. But normally I would have one line with maybe one potential variation. But the more you have lines in your head, the more you're going to be confused. And you see with so many factors, you need to be on point. Yeah.
So Xavier, you showed us all the objective hazards, the rational part. And then you said, there is a second half in my decision-making process, in my planning, which is the gut feeling. You're standing there, you said, all right, I do see myself being able to complete the phase in one way or the other. When does your gut feeling come into play?
Yeah, I think the gut feeling comes after, and you kind of need to transition a bit your brain. And it's funny because you change personality all of a sudden, because you've been the job of really analyzing everything there is in the line, and you kind of find a scenario that's possible. And I always find that at the end, it's the moment to start to listen what you have inside of you. And that's not something that's necessarily easy to do, but it's super important. It's that feeling inside which tells you, yeah, I feel good, like this is exactly what I want to do, or I'm scared, there's something wrong with it, I don't know what, but there's something I don't feel.
How often did that happen to you?
I think it happens way more than you think. Yeah, like very often I turn back because there is something, sometimes there's going to be a very obvious sign which tells me, okay, this is a big red flag, it's obvious, but very often in freeriding it's not that obvious. So that gut feeling part is important, and I'm very conservative and I always try to keep a lot of margin.
Yeah. From a scientific point of view, hearing all of that, Xavier always told us Zoom calls ahead we had together. Well, I never knew what I did. If you're hearing it now from him in person, was that the right approach? How would you sum up the preparation phase from a scientific point of view?
It's interesting because what he's doing, I can explain a little bit, because like the analysis really is so important. It's that huge. You need all these if-then plans, all this preparation. So you have your plans, and with your plans, after 2 or 3 curves, you can change or you make the transition in your emotions and in your body, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you touched definitely a point. Yeah.
How interesting is it for you, after 25 years, doing those things, actually hearing if it was right or wrong?
It's funny, but it's already really interesting, the fact of having tried to break it down a little bit before coming here, and now you just validate a little bit. You just put names on all the things that are kind of there. And so I think it will be easier in the future to kind of consciously know what I'm doing, instead of doing it on the go.
I'm totally convinced that your preparation to analyze all the things cognitively means that you can reach an optimal performance state. Mm-hmm. And then you have really the possibility to say if it's possible to ride or not.
I think we even have a graphic prepared for that.
Yes, it's very common this in a sport, and what we need here, and what Xavier is needing is needs here the optimal performance state, very tight on the highest, absolutely highest level. If not, then like other athletes, he's here a little bit too calm. It's not enough to write things like that. It's okay to shoot the penalty, but to write these lines, it's not possible. Or in the most cases, athletes I know, they're in big events or big situations. They are here a little bit overexcited. What means you have to steer by relaxation here, but normally in training units, the athletes, normal athletes, are here and they have to react by activation.
As this is now the optimal degree of excitement for big mountain freeriding, would you say if I'm doing maths final exams or if I'm giving a speech ahead of thousands of people, the degree of excitement and to reach my optimal state of performance needs to be either further left or right on the x-axis?
You know, you also need this optimal performance state, but you have more possibilities to steer while the action, that's the first point, or before preparation, also the last seconds, the last minutes, and so on. But in the case of action sport, maybe do you agree, Xavier, you really need this peak here, to be in this peak. A little to be at the left side, a little to be here on the right side, it's not enough for that what you are doing.
No, and I think that's super interesting because you would think that as an athlete, you need to be as excited as you can, as fully transcended as you can, but you don't want to be too much, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I have the feeling that it's even more true in freeriding because, you know, in the mountains, you know, there are so many variables, as I was saying, so many tricks, that if you're overconfident, you quickly, you know, get tricked by the mountains. And yeah, and I think this is something where we learn to take it easy, but it's always, I find such a hard state of mind to find. Like, it's always so hard to not be too excited. To not
nobody said that it's easy.
Okay, good.
If it would be easy, everybody would do it.
True.
That's what they say.
Yeah,
That's what they say.
Yeah, and probably everyone is different. I'm sure everybody has got a bit of a different level. Yeah. Surely
to wrap at least the conscious and unconscious gut feeling part of, I think visualization at the end of this process, to run through it multiple times, time after time. This is where I do my left turn. This is how I want to hit the cliff. This is where I want to reduce my speed in order to set myself up for the next feature if we're talking about big mountain freeriding. Help us a little bit with your ways of visualization.
Yeah, so the visualization is key in freeriding, especially because of the fact that, you know, you've got the mountain in front and you need to translate whatever you can imagine to see what the vision from above is going to be. So for example, a cliff, you see it clearly from the bottom, but from the top, you're only going to see snow. So you're going to have to find your way and you're going to have to trust the image you have from the bottom. So visualization is key in that preparation phase. So I try to visualize a lot everything that's going to be there, all the dangers, the snow quality. And basically, the more information that you put in your head, the better. Even if it's not important, even if it's a very small chance, like case scenario, it's important that it's
somewhere there.
You think about it once, and it's already a big thing.
On the hard drive, and you can double-click it if you need it.
True, exactly.
It's really interesting what you're explaining because that's really also in theoretical models very important, and we know that it's important to visualize not the result, but to visualize the process and the action. And you're telling us from that.
Yeah. When you mean result, it's like seeing yourself on the podium or something. Yeah. I find this is
10 or so. No.
Yeah, it's just so hard not to do that, actually.
Yeah.
But at that point, probably a little bit too early.
Very true. Yeah, there might be things along the way which...
You know, it's very easier said than done, because after laying the seed, after being very, very self-confident and having a proper plan in mind, uncertainties and fears are coming into play. Jörg, let's take a current example. You know, Audi Masterclass, loads of people watching back home, something you don't do every single day. Exactly, butterflies are coming in. How are you approaching a challenge like that when it comes to uncertainties and fear?
In my personal life, I have two stages to make differentiation. It begins with it's disturbing me first. I'm feeling a little bit unwell or bad, but then I recognize it's not the way to, it's not the solution to go in this situation, and I see that now I have to change, and that's the second part. That I see I cannot fight uncontrollable factors. I can fight a system. I don't can find the gravity. That means so I accept it and I go back to myself, and that helps me to come in the optimal performance state again.
Is this also the recipe, Xavier? Do you think this is also the recipe to reach the right mindset?
Yeah, I think for me, what I use in freeriding is usually, well, to decide if I'm going to ride a line or not, is I try to imagine the worst case scenario, kind of. So I take all the dangers, I put them all together, and I'm like, okay, is there a solution to this? What can I do? What's the probability? And usually that helps me to be like, okay, I think it's doable, or it's not doable, it's a very bad idea. And it's funny because I've noticed very often that I translated a bit that technique into my personal life, you know, like
well,
tonight.
I like to underline this point, that you say, I'm preparing the verse, I hope the best. So that's also the style, like we are preparing delegations for Olympic Games, like now in Beijing.
Yeah. Yeah, the only tricky point I find with hope the best in freeriding is that you cannot put too much on hoping, you know, because you have to be so sure of what you do because of the consequences. I'm sure,
Just a couple of weeks I heard better than expected and worse than we would have hoped for. So this probably describes it a little bit better.
True. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
We were jumping already a little bit ahead on this worst case scenarios, which is no problem at all. Before we move on these uncertainties in daily life, I just want to get back to all of you out there and introduce our first Slido poll. So as you will be able to see, the first question is coming in. Make sure you vote, you send us your opinion on the first Slido question, and feel free to take your time. In a couple of minutes, we'll come back to that. And if you did not send us any questions so far, make sure, if you're interested in anything and you would like to have an answer from Jörg, Xavier, or Simon, shoot us the questions our way. All right. Jörg, prepare for the worst. And this is something, maybe I'm wrong, but this is something I try to embrace. Yes, preparing for the worst is crucial, without a doubt. But where do you see the right moment to stop preparing? When are you finally prepared, and when don't you lose yourself in smallest details where, you know, you can be 100% sure that those details will not make the difference along the way?
That's a good question. I don't really have a good answer for this question. Maybe you have a better one. But maybe it's then if you analyze really all the situations to the end, to 100%, and you have a lot of options, and you worked with if-then plans, and then it's, I think maybe it's the feeling who says, now I'm ready to solve this task. Yeah.
Because it's also an immense workload, no?
Yeah,
Xavier?
yeah.
If you think it to death, basically, then you overthink it.
Yeah, and some days we spend days on it, and then after a while, your mind starts to play tricks on you. And I think there is a moment where you need to realize, okay, I've analyzed anything that's possible to analyze. I've visualized over and over and over the good, the bad scenarios. Okay, now I need to stop. I decided to go and ride for that line, and it's going to be time to kind of trust yourself a little bit.
Very, very good summary before we move on with Simon. Simon, hearing all of that, I hope you were able to soak that all up from a business perspective, you know, brand's perspective, planning and preparation, especially these days. How are you guys tackling that at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's insanely important, right? These days, especially where uncertainties is a key word for us right now. You plan everything once, twice, a third time, because you don't know what's going to happen. So in a way, we kind of had to reinvent ourselves in how we approach problems. I mean, one good example is now we're doing these things digital, right? 2 years ago, we had no idea how to do it. And I have to say it's really helped us, because we've been able to focus much more. We've been able to become much more efficient in the way we work, to streamline our processes. And I can really relate to the planning and preparation part being immensely important. So we do it as well, yes.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Not just like this.
No. Jörg is also checking the box. They do it at Audi as well.
Okay.
All right. Well, I guess it's time to wrap up our first chapter, planning and preparation. But before we do so, we look at the poll results. And we are curious what you...
Oh, wow.
Meticulous preparation.
How do you prepare for essential situations in your life? 52% meticulous preparation, 30% visualization of the outcome, interesting, and 18% are going with the flow basically and change
like that
and change on the way. You are seeing that? Can you relate to that? Is that basically a good crossover within the population?
Absolutely. I think you need all of these free. It's a combination of these three, I think.
And it depends what you do, right? Yeah, in freeriding, the improvisation is important, but you don't want to rely completely on it, right?
Right. Yeah. Well said. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are with our questions coming from your end. Joe says there is a point of no return. If you know you have already crossed that point, but you come to a section, you are horrified. How to go through this moment of panic? And do you allow yourself to panic at that point, Xavier?
Well, if you are arriving into that moment of panic, that's because you haven't done your job properly, actually. And yeah, of course, one of the worst case scenarios that you forecasted can happen, and that's going to be a bit of a panic, but it's going to be, if you have planned it ahead, it's going to be a controlled panic, and you're going to know already what to do. So that's kind of the goal, but I think I'm a bit ahead of the seminar there.
I also love the next question of Bruno Nicoli. How to manage a person with panic in the mountain, or a mental block due to fear. Jörg, I would want to pass that over. You know, body system on the mountain. Sometimes you are on your way with walkie-talkies, so you actually have the possibility to coach your body or the person in the face. What's your first word to calm the person down?
Sometimes I tell them, look at your front here and what is written down. Maybe there's written down on your front, what happened now, I have no idea how to manage the situation, and that's the first thing, I think, to change it. Normally it's really kind of the mind and
I like that
attitude.
Yeah, I'm gonna try that because it happens a lot actually to be with someone that's completely blocked, and and it's true that it's really hard to get out of this situation.
Sure. Yeah, you need to have something in your pocket you can pull out, basically.
Yeah, and you don't necessarily know how this person is and what is the magic key, kind of.
Also, very nice last question there, Xavier. Elias Schimpfle, how do you evaluate and pick a safe line when there is no opportunity to have a complete good look at it before dropping? Well, one could say, then you did not do your job properly. On the other side, you know, there are certain points, as discussed, you cannot conclude with just judging it up front. So more for backside.
Yeah, and essentially, like in freeriding, you will never have the 100% information in you, and all the information you get, you all need to take them, and they all bring you to a certain ratio of certainty at the end, but you will never have 100%, so you get used to this. And in your practice, you always take the margin to kind of cover that uncertainty of information that you have, more or less. So that's kind of the theory, but yeah, I think this is a general rule in the mountain. Always, you see something, you want to do something, you always do a tiny bit less, and that way you're safe. But the more you train, the more you push things, the more you know yourself, the more you're able to push that limit. But I think that's a general kind of system, I'd say. Yeah.
I guess it's time to wrap up the first part, the first chapter, planning and preparation. And therefore, we are just displaying the key takeaways one more time for you. That's also an interesting point for you back home. We're gonna send you all the takeaways out of all 3 chapters at the end of the show via email, that you do have that also back home, black on white, and you don't have to screenshot them. Clear distinction between rational and emotional phase. We discussed that. Prepare for the worst and assess possible solutions on the way. Visualization, we talked about it as the last part of preparation, the rendering part, where you go through your line or your task and then establish a positive and realistic mindset, which is probably also easier said than done. But action part is coming up now, and we will look into self-confidence and the both sides of self-confidence here in just a few moments. All right, intro, chapter 2, decision-making along the way, the action part. It's going to be absolutely interesting together with Xavier, Jörg and Simon. And to set you up, we have a short video up front. All right.
Action.
Action. I guess you like that more, and I do so too. Prep phase is over, and we are entering the action mode. How do you see that, Xav? After so much time on some lines, you know, for days, maybe even for years, how do you tackle the action phase?
It's really funny, but like usually when you get into the action mode, most of the job has been done, you know. And it doesn't mean that it's always easy, because when you're at the top, I think that's when you have the biggest level of intensity. That's when your mind goes crazy, and when it's really hard to focus on what you have to do. But usually when I'm at the top of the line, I try to, you know, tell myself, okay, I've done the job, I've decided to go, I know what I have to do, and I try to look down into the face at all the features. This is usually what helps me to kind of ground myself, and to, you know, every time when I do that, I'm like, okay, wow, this I can do. This is, yeah, I know how to do this.
I know that.
And this usually helps me. And then I know that I trust a little bit the feeling that when I'm going to be dropping in, well, I'm super tensed at the start, and I drop in, I do 1 turn, 2 turn, and usually I have the feeling to enter into a little bubble.
The door to unconsciousness is open, isn't it?
Yes, maybe. I love the way you put it. Yeah. But to me, this is, I think, the most magical moment of free riding.
Welcome to the wide room.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
But you know, you've put so much intensity into preparing everything, and you've covered every little subject.
Is there even a routine, a deep breath, while you tell yourself, and now I'm leaving the conscious world and I'm coming in the state of flow? No,
because already the principle of it is to not think anymore. Perfect. And I think this is the essence of it, to force yourself, to trust yourself to not think anymore, because everything happens so quick, you know.
So, if you focus that in that moment only on your task to 100%, you don't reflect your habits.
Yeah, imagine you're into the line. If a slab, like a little slab goes, and if you haven't thought about it before, and you need to find, okay, well, the slab is breaking, I need to go and do I straight line, do I stop, do I go on the left side? You don't have time for this. Yeah.
Jörg, I guess you brought a model with you for all of us, which then is also applicable for all the other parts in life. So I'm curious to see what you will show us. Yeah,
absolutely. In this second model, you see all these 3 systems, and Xavier told us about this preparation first. So you really, that's ratio, and you're in the consciousness, and then after this repetitions, you come then in this intuition space or level. Means that here, in the first box is the beginner, then the practitioner is maybe here, and the expert he's then able to change all these boxes and to reach this box.
Do you have an example out of daily life how you move from box to box? Driving a car, as we are with Audi here in Verbier?
Yes, absolutely. So if you begin driving a car, so you have to do all these things consciously. So that's the reason you need next to you another guy who's helping a little bit. And after repeating it, you're able to break with your unconscious. What means it's automatization, if something appears in front of your car.
So the reactions are coming naturally, and you don't have to think about them anymore, to sum it up.
Naturally, from your body, from
automatically,
from unconsciousness. Yeah.
Intuitively. All right.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks, Jörg, for those insights. Xavier, I think you brought also something. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is a movie from back in 2010 when Xavier claimed another Freeride World Tour title. And he almost secured it already ahead of Verbier, but he still went for gold, even for the single competition in Verbier. And Xavier, we're going to see that right now. If you could talk us through your thoughts, through your actions, and through the crux of this line. You are smiling. I know why.
Yeah, because I think that 2010 lines. Yeah, this was I think the most intense, the most extreme line I did in competition, and that was in 2010. And yeah, I just needed to ride down to being world champion. So, you know, I could just have played it super safe, get the title, go home. But to me, it was always important to to be proud of what I was doing and to not really count too much on the result at the end. And yeah, so there, that whole face, this is all the very top of the face. So it's very steep, very exposed. You're really not allowed to fall. And you have in your head like that big jump that's coming up that was really making this line. And this big jump, you know, I knew that I had there to turn around this line. And from there, I knew I needed to kind of point. Like from 5-6 meters before that jump, I needed to let go. And you see the space for landing is really small. And there, from this point on, it's just to have no choice but to let go. So yeah, I don't know, I didn't need to do that line that day, but I really felt it in me. I really wanted to go for it. And there you see at the bottom, you know, I've gone through all the tough parts of it and all those days of preparation, all this intensity, all this work I put into my line. You know, it just explodes in you, and that's the best feeling in the world, really. Yeah.
Well, I guess goosebumps are not a bad sign.
Me too.
Oh, you too? Well, you have long sleeves.
Yeah.
I don't. Very, very cool. What factors played into decision making the week ahead of Verbier 2010 or even that day? Why did you decide to prove yourself that you even can do more than what was required that day?
I don't know, but I guess sometimes in your life you feel so empowered. I guess you've been preparing well enough. I don't know, you feel confident, you feel healthy, and you want it. And there, I don't know, it just felt so obvious that you know, there was the possibility of doing this. You know, it made me dream. It came from the inside, you know, in such a strong way that there was no way I would not do it.
So we are back in gut feeling, and we are also at a point where we are entering the already earlier mentioned state of flow. And I think, Jörg, you also have a graphic for the state of flow. In general, what is the state of flow? If you could help us with that.
In the state of flow, you don't respect all the consequences. So you're steering by your body, you're steering by the unconsciousness and by emotion, and you cannot count the time. So it's timeless there, and so you're really in the zone. It's a kind of optimal performance state, but it depends also that the task, the requirement on the one side, and on the other side the your capabilities. And the higher the capabilities you have with preparation and so on, your mindset, the higher also the task could be. Means that you, Xavier, in my opinion, you're reaching this zone. In everyday life, it's enough if you're here. And then you are also in a flow channel.
Can I reach the state of flow with any activity?
If you play, for example, or you're in a discussion, that's absolutely possible to come in this flow.
Do you think we are in a state of flow now?
Me, yes.
We're in the zone. Yeah, we are. Yeah.
Well, I hope so. Yeah.
Well, hopefully.
I have a question, if I may. Yeah. But like, do you have any tools to get in there, like to get in that flow? Like, do you have techniques that help getting in there? Because it's so hard to.
Yes, that's really
put yourself in there.
Nobody said that it's easy to come into flow channel too. So that means it's really hard work. It's a hard mental work, and it's a combination of the 100% concentration and focus on your task. Then to be clear in your role, what you're doing. Then the goal setting, your mindset, and that you visualized all this stuff with your if-then plans and so on. And this combination gives you the possibility to reach the flow. But there's no button for the flow. It's a combination of these methods.
Looking back, were there days, you know, Bluebird, Alaska, perfect conditions, no avalanche conditions because it's simply stable. There are never no avalanche conditions, but you know what I mean. Do you remember a day where you simply did not get into that flow because of daily conditions, or did that happen to you?
I think it does happen very, very often. And very often when it does happen, you have a tendency to not want to drop into your lines. Because I think, you know, we were speaking before how you need a bit that gut feeling to kind of help you to decide if you get into the line or not. And if you don't feel that flow coming, I guess, I think that's when you're not going to have necessarily a good gut feeling. But yeah, I've done mistakes with this, where you're like confident in things. And like, for example, my avalanche in 2008, where I completely misjudged, the task because I was doing something a lot easier than before. And
maybe something for the reflection part then. The story around the elevation.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Let's
keep it for there.
You have really no chance to reflect. So you have to write, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's writing.
Yeah, you have to find a solution for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, intuition, state of flow. Are those two topics coming hand in hand together? Is it almost the same?
I think so. So without intuition, it's not possible to come in this flow. So you need your body. We are two systems. The first is the cognitive system is about 5%, not more, to reach a performance. And the other part is the ocean of the possibilities, and this is the unconsciousness.
Earlier, off record, we discussed endless discussions about intuition. So let's see if you are coming up with some questions around these topics as well. Now it's time again for you to participate in the next Slido. Paul, you can see it in the lower third here. And this time we're gonna ask you something about decision making in general, and obviously also, again, the time for you to send us your questions. At the end of this chapter, we will be back with all your questions. All right. Intuition part is done, and I guess we are moving on to self-confidence. And this is a very, very, very fine line within freeriding, extra sports in general, but I think not just there, in every part of daily life. Xavier, what's your take on self-confidence? Which role did that and does that play, for example, in freeriding?
Yeah, I think self-confidence is super important, and it's almost a mandatory element to perform some big lines and stuff. You need some of it, so that you're going to trust the decision, so that every move that you're going to take, you're going to do it in a committed way. That's important. But at the same time, you're in a hostile environment. So too much confidence can be really tricky. So I think we all learn as mountaineers to take it easy on the self-confidence, like use how much we can, but yeah, not too much.
What's the scientific perspective
I can
to be relatable to the audience?
I can repeat all the things you said already, but on the other side, I think also, it's the self-confidence is a kind of counterpart of fear, and means if you have really huge self-confidence, that's also possible to solve tasks like your task you have. It's not only fear only, it's also a kind of respect, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. But that's really interesting because the fear has a huge role into the whole thing, and for me, if I don't have fear,
there's something wrong.
Yeah, I kind of worry a little bit, and yeah.
If you look at scales, for example, and there's the fear, there's the self-confidence, how or the anxiety, the respect on one hand, and on the other side, it's the self-confidence. How did you try to balance those things? That not one side basically takes totally control of your planning action?
I think, like cultivating a little bit of fear has always been, one of the biggest lessons I learned through my experiences and through the bad experiences especially.
So not pushing it away, cultivating it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, especially imagine yourself, you're riding with your friend, you're having a good time. And this is really for everyday riding. It's just, you don't want to think about fear. You don't want to talk about dangers. You don't want to talk about all of that. But once again, you're in this environment, so it's a part of it. It's the price to pay. So I always try to have it somewhere there because it helps me. Yeah.
Jörg, it's such a fine line, especially when you're a youngster. You did not fill your bag of experience to the absolute max like Xavier did over 25 years in these surroundings. So how does somebody find the right line in between too little, too much, or the exact right amount of self-confidence for a proper task?
From a scientific perspective, I think it's all about these repetitions and this experience you have, and your feeling, your body, your unconsciousness, who tells you when it's enough, when not. And next to that, it's really impressive that you mentioned that you have to look in the eyes of fear. If not, you have to put it on table. If not, you're avoiding it, fear, and you're hiding yourself from fear. That's not a solution, because then the fear definitely is coming while riding, and then then it's a panic. You're in the panic zone.
Yeah, and don't you think there are like two different fears I always call? I find that there is the good fear and bad fear. Well, that's the way I call them, kind of. But definitely the fear which helps you, as I was saying before, but also. Maybe, yeah? Then the fear which blocks you, and sometimes it's there not necessarily for the good reasons. Yeah, but so what's your theory on this?
Yeah, in theory, you work on fear, that you name it, that you give him a picture, and you work with this fear with metaphors, for example. That's the solution. Okay. And one part of the solution is to talk over fear.
Okay. You know, I have a big fear of helicopters. For me, like when I hear the noise of helicopter, it brings me that, I get a little electric thing, and this is something I need to work on. So would you have any tip for this, or?
Yeah, it's possible to. At first you have to look. Is it make it sense to avoid this or to work on this?
Yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe you really can avoid. You should avoid this. But you're telling us that you're before the line and you should ride. So and you're hearing this.
Blades spinning.
Yeah.
Blades.
So that means
It means either accident or stress of filming and competition.
We name it in psychology systematically desensibilization.
Okay.
Yeah, right. That's possible to work on that, but it's work too.
Okay,
it's work too. Work, ladies and gentlemen, is our next big word. To sum that up, confidence, I would say, is the golden key for the best possible results. Is that a good summary? At the end of the self-confidence block, Jörg, would you say it's the golden key, self-confidence, balanced well with respect / the good fear?
Absolutely. I have a story. There's a gold medal winner from Olympic Games, and he reached that with a huge self-confidence, isn't it? And he comes back 2 years later with the same topic, self-confidence.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Mm-hmm. Self-confidence.
It's an ongoing process, yeah.
You think about it while we keep on going.
Sounds good.
All right, Simon, self-confidence at brands in general, business life. How does that relate to what you guys are currently trying to do and trying to realize, trying to get on the street?
Yeah, I mean, obviously not at a stage, where he's talking, where it's basically life and death. But I think we know a thing or two about bold decisions and about attacking them with a lot of confidence. As I think we have prepared some visual aids here. Over the past year, obviously big topic for us is the switch into electromobility. And now we see here two of the concept cars, or the two concept cars that we launched this past year, which are really a window showing what Audi is about in the future, right? This is future mobility for us, with obviously the top echelon of at some point reaching autonomous driving. And then we picked up another example here with the Rally Dakar that just finished 2 weeks ago, which was also a very bold statement from our side because we participated not only with a regular car, but with an electric car. You can see here the RSQ e-tron, which is powered by high voltage batteries, which are obviously charged through a high performance converter, because the charging situation in the desert is not that great at the moment. But I think it shows that, we are definitely confident in our abilities, and that it really helps us making tough and strong decisions, yeah.
Would you say, Jörg, that's just as important for companies, for brands, for students, for all other parts in life, and not just for big mountain freeriding?
Yes, absolutely, because you're creating beliefs and commitments and so on, and this is growing up a mindset. So, and a unique mindset, that's important for a company.
All right. Pulse, ladies and gentlemen, Slido is back in the game. We were asking you about decision making, and now we are curious what you have to tell us, / what your opinion on this topic is. And we are waiting to get the results in. The question was, have you ever cancelled a pre-planned situation, a ski tour, a competition, a job interview, etc., due to current anxiety?
A very great result, huh?
Yeah, that's interesting. Half. Whew. This means anxiety, fears, respect is playing a huge role in daily life for everybody out there, if you ask me.
Yeah, and it means that the audience is honest also, because it's not always easy to admit it.
Would you have
Thank you, guys.
Would you have expected a result like that?
Maybe 2/3 for yes and 1/3 no.
Okay.
I expect it.
All right. As you say it, the no goes down, the yes goes up. Anyhow, 3 fast questions on the action part for Xavier, Jörg, or Simon, and then we move on. Philip, the first one up there, interested what Xavier thinks about the growth of popularity of freeriding in the past years. Do you see more inexperienced people out in the backcountry not following the established procedures we discussed?
I think the tricky part with what's happening in freeriding is the fact that the access is easier. So I think people are more educated than in the past, but then more people get into it. And I think people don't realize the amount of experience you need to start to go and get deeper into it. So yeah, it is a bit a case, so we need to educate people, and this is what we're trying to do here, partially, but yeah, I think it's a big task for sure.
So many good questions, so we really have to pick. Let's move on with Ravis in that case. Do you think that fear sometimes saves you from bad outcome, from bad decision making? Being fearless could be deadly. What's your opinion about fears? We touched that already. Better have them.
Yeah,
or
but
not.
100%, and it's super important if you don't have fear to be like, okay, there's a problem. The fear makes you keep you aware of everything that's going to come.
Airplane approach. All right.
Yeah. So take the last question too.
I think I'm going with Sophie. Because we need the ladies, In theory, it says have a lady in your group and you're going to be just fine out there. Because
I've got 4.
Yeah, and that's right. And that's why this question just fits perfectly. You won your Freeride World Tour titles already having 1 child. Did your recent 2nd child, or even the 3rd one, change your attitude to risk what you ride, or can you compartmentalize that?
I think that's a very good point, and it's true that when my first child was born, at that time I was doing those crazy lines, and now, I feel that 10, 15 years later, I've changed my perspective, and I think a big part of it is the fact that I need a lot less to prove myself, that I'm experiencing some different goals in my life, and I think I like sometimes to really push it, but I really pick my days, so I think this is more the way it's made me evolve.
Even more conscious.
Yeah, more conscious, still really strong, but only when it's really right. Whereas before, when you're younger, you just do it a bit more all the time. So I think for the better for now. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks so much, guys. Amazing. So many questions are coming in. As mentioned already, after we finished all 3 chapters, we're gonna try to answer a few more of those. Well, now I guess we are back with the wrap-up and key takeaways of chapter number 2. So let's see what we prepared for you as the 3 main key takeaways. Importance to cultivate your fear, so don't push it away, tackle it, give it a name, talk to it, and use it for your pros, basically. Fear and self-confidence are different in freeriding than most other sports. Also, safe to say, as Jörg mentioned, with the consequences in freeriding, the fear part is a healthy component on the counterpart of self-confidence, and the balance between conscious and unconscious decision-making is definitely necessary. Well, again, you'll get all those key takeaways at the end in our thank you email. All right. This was it with chapter number 2, and we are in the thick of it. Chapter number 3, the reflection. Xavier, we had the first Zoom call, whatever. be it 6 weeks ago. And we set up kind of a guideline, how kind of a master plan, how to tackle tonight. And you said, you know what, reflection.
Yes, true. Yeah, I'm
What's
a snowboarder. That? Yeah, I don't reflect, right?
I never did
After
it.
reflecting, you saw that you were reflecting.
I never did it.
Yeah, true.
I don't need it, and I will not need it. So I guess the visuals have changed a little bit in the course of the past 6 weeks.
Yeah, it's funny because I called you guys back after, and I was actually, I'm stupid because I actually reflect a lot. Doing competition and doing filming, you always kind of look yourself, look what you've done, and you reflect, and this is exactly how you ride. And there is really a parallel to be made between this type of riding and the everyday riding, because in the everyday riding, I think this is not something that you necessarily do. You know, you just go out there, you enjoy the moment, and then you realize after a while that you don't necessarily progress. And when I mean progress, it's not necessarily just about how radical your riding is, but it's also about general, safety, general behavior, general decision making in the mountains. And I think, that this is clearly something that I could encourage myself and encourage people to do, not only when filming and competition, because this is really niche, but in everyday life situations. Yeah.
Jörg, reflecting. You personally, are you reflecting on a day, on a training session, on a session together with your either business clients or with your athletes? Is this something you personally do?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have also professional style to do that with supervision, intervisions, and the case supervisions, for example. On the other side, if there's something special like Olympic Games, I'm working with diary, and I make a lot of notes, and I also reflect the kind of topics I solved with the athletes and with the whole delegation, so that we see which topics are really important in the education of the psychologists, for example. But I think it's important that to switch between hot debriefing and the long debriefing, and you make a differentiation between that.
So hot debriefing is kind of right after, at the end of the day?
Absolutely. And then you're full of emotions, and the mistake I see on the highest level is that in this case, coaches and other guys and the athlete himself, they're using this analyze.
They try to draw already a bottom line during the hot phase.
It's not necessarily, because you're still in this emotion and you need a break for some nights, sometimes some weeks. And then it's more sensible to make then a long-term analyze and debriefing. Reflection always comes in two phases, and you need to use a bit of the both hot and long term, right?
Thinking back, let's take 2010 Verbier again. How often were you reflecting on that line? Even you did it unconsciously, but how often are you playing through this line over and over again? And I did it.
Yeah, true. At the bar, I don't know if I was reflecting too much that evening, but
but it was the hot phase anyway.
Yeah. Anyways, no, but it's super interesting this, because I think the more we talk about it, the more I realize how important it is, because when you go riding in the mountains, you can do so many mistakes every day without realizing, because you don't have any consequence, and then. You think, because nothing happens, that you're not doing mistakes, and you're not reflecting on it, so you're not really noticing that you're doing mistakes. And that's actually when reflecting could make you avoid doing these mistakes, which one day could be kind of turning bad.
Leads directly into my next point, and this is already the final one on the reflection topic here. How does the relation between reflecting and long-term improvement over a course of a career, 25 years, how does that work out?
It's make really sense, because it's increasing your motivation, it's increasing your volition, what means that maintain an action and to reach really definitively a setting goal. In summary, it's to become better, you have to reflect, absolutely. If not, then you're losing something.
To become better and safer also, in a way, because in freeriding, better means safer.
Better back.
Really safer.
Yeah.
Simon?
Yeah.
Reflecting. how does that work in business life? How do you guys?
Yeah, I think he hit the nail on the head right there, right? If you don't do it, you don't become better. And for us, I guess we call it reporting, and then obviously we analyze it as well. What can we do better? But yeah, it's a very performance-driven industry, and it's a very cutthroat competition out there, and you cannot miss a step. And
do you have certain routines, certain procedures you apply for certain tasks you want to analyze? Is there a standard operation procedure for some of the things you do?
Well, yeah, I guess you could say in general everything we do, we look at it afterwards and we see did it work or not, and then either you scale it, you make it bigger, or you develop it into something that will work, or you kill it. And I think that's basically, the approach we take. Obviously, you know, we look at the numbers and the KPIs, obviously how they reflect our performance, but...
So we need good numbers tonight, right? Guys, we count on you.
Call mom, call grandma, call everyone you know. They should tune in for the last 15 minutes here.
But yeah, there's going to be certainly a reflection part on everything we do, absolutely, yes.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, it's time for the key takeaways again, in written on the reflection part. And here we are. Self-reflection is key for long-term improvement. Jörg underlined that already. In the meanwhile, also Xavier got it. And reflection is essential on all levels of freeriding. And this is very important, Xavier, where I want to hand over to you one more time. You really encourage, no matter if it was a day with your friends out in the field, you're riding mellow stuff, but take the time and reflect on certain actions along the way.
Yeah, everything you did, maybe weigh it and don't wait necessarily that something bad happens to reflect, because I think that this is something that we all do, and it's important to implement reflection into everyday's routine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Jörg?
Also in the daily life, I think it's important to implement this. So it's really an easy thing is to write down in the evening what 3 points went well today. And so you grow up also a better mindset, positive mindset on positivity.
Mm-hmm. Something I forgot to add, Xavier, which was an important topic also throughout our preps, especially with freeriding. The reflecting part is so important, because you could have done 150 times the same mistake and you never got the receipt, the bill to pay for it. But all of a sudden, it cracks, it snaps, you fall off, you get basically the receipt for a mistake you think was no mistake because you did it since such a long time. You just did not get the receipt for it.
Yeah, I think this is a bit the danger of freeriding. Like, everybody knows that it's dangerous, but you very rarely see the danger. So yeah, you need to kind of always know that it's out there and act accordingly. Yeah, and reflection, once again, is a mega big part of it. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, 3 chapters with the check, and we are in the wrap-up. In the summary, I guess we are approaching the last 10 minutes. We hope you are enjoying it so far, and you are also taking a few things away for a daily, for private life, for business, for school, whatever. It does not matter. And to enter the last stage, Xavier, I'm interested in how did the past 25 years at the forefront, you know, at the tip, cream of the crop, big mountain snowboarding. How did that shape you, and how are you translating the things you learned to daily life, bringing your kids up, investing in some things, taking on new challenges, endeavors?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think I've kind of developed, I've pushed it so hard into that mental kind of state. It's been kind of like a lot of the years in my life, and I've been in really tough situations. And it's funny because I have the feeling that it has shaped me for my life. And when I think about it, I think one thing that comes out is the fact that in the mountains, when you do something, you don't necessarily have rescue that's going to come. And like every action that you take have consequence, and that you kind of have to deal with it. And I find that this kind of changes your perspective on life. It makes you a lot more responsible. And this is always something that I try to bring to my children. And also the fact of, being able to see things that are impossible, and that instead of just saying it's impossible, you're going to try slowly to face the fear, to understand it, to really look in the face exactly like you were saying, and then slowly, step by step, you're able to reach really some amazing achievements. And yeah, I think this is beautiful, and I have the feeling that it has made me know myself so much, and I still learn every day about it, and this is what I love about it.
And your eyes are still shining when you talk about it.
Yeah.
Jörg, why is it so important for mankind until the end of your life to follow your dreams, to keep on pushing, to live the progress, living progress? I guess that's the claim, Simon, we mentioned already at the start of today. Why is it so important for a human being?
If you're not motivated in the early day, so what the reason why I should stand up today? So it's a hard life, isn't it? So we need these challenges, we need these risks, we need also to come sometimes out of this comfort zone. And to hurt sometimes, and then to come in the zone again. I think it's a part of the life. These are waves, and this is it's the salt in the soup.
Is that also the reason, because we got that question earlier, is that also the reason why people they seek the outdoors? They want to be on the mountain, ski touring, skinning, free riding has got such a huge push over the course of the past 15 years. Is this because every other aspect in life are getting highly regulated? We are living this full coverage insurance mentality that people really try to seek and break out of the comfort zone, just as you mentioned it earlier?
I think so. We need special projects. If not, maybe it's too boring only our daily life. So everybody can do something with your life, with your leisure time, with your hobbies, with your sport disciplines. So I think we need that really.
For me, it's definitely a drug, and if I don't go out in the nature, whether it's like snowboarding, skiing, rock climbing, paragliding, whatever, I'll feel stressed, and I find that it's almost my meditation, I think, to be in the moment. That's the moment in life when my phone, everything else doesn't matter anymore, where I'm like there and happy and sharing an intense moment. Yeah, it's beautiful.
That would have been already great last words. Simon, you are an outdoor enthusiast as well, but are you also trying to create those moments for you, for your team at work, where there are challenges which don't make it boring?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think we take the easy route a lot of times. With every event we do, with every campaign we do, with every touch point we create for our clients, we try to get better every single time. And we push the bar a lot from when I think back of 2 years ago, okay, we have to do digital events now. How does that even work? Where we are right now, and obviously we haven't reached the peak yet. And I think, absolutely, us in Audi at Switzerland here, and obviously in headquarters as well, there's a lot of pushing, yes, to get better.
All right. Well, another poll is up for grabs, so make sure you pull up the Slido tool one more time. And before we talk about the results of the poll, Jörg, I want to come back one more time to you. Compared to what you experience on a daily basis with your clients, being it from business end, being it athletes out of the Olympic squad, what's the biggest difference for you talking to Xavier after so many years of experience in such a dynamic surrounding environment compared to what you experience when you are discussing it with them?
You know, in Olympic delegations there, we are on highest level, but we have an A athletes, B athletes and C athletes. And the C athletes, it's good to be there first time and to be better the second time after 4 years, for example. The B athletes are, they are ambassadors for the discipline, for a sport association and so on. But they have the potential to reach a diploma, and A athletes are really these guys, they reach the medals, and he's one of these guys.
You don't have to become red now, Xavier.
or reach the peak, you know, they're on the peak,
in a different way.
Is there something even you are taking away from tonight's talk with Xavier you might be also using when you are coaching your athletes, your clients from now on?
No, not a lot.
Go Freeriding.
No, absolutely. I'm really depressed because he's the person, a combination of...
Impressed, hopefully.
Impressed, impressed, sorry, of mindfulness. And also he's working with one other method. This is easiness. And we really need this easiness next to have and build up self-confidence. Next, we have to look in the fear. And this is really impressive for me that he's is describing what I see in books. So it's street smartness poor to 100%. And I had a little bit book smartness next to him.
Well, thanks so much. It's not time to finally say thank you quite yet, as we are tackling, first of all, the poll, I'd say. So your takeaways, your opinion on tonight, and here we are. Have you been able to take anything away from this webinar? Yes. About mental preparation before challenges, 77%. Yes, I was able to learn about risk management, and yes, dealing with unpredictable situations in everyday life or on the mountain. It's pretty interesting that the preparation is also like the main part the audience was looking into. Not even
but
so
it's
much.
kind of funny that what came out as well, what I took away from it is that very often you don't realize, but the preparation makes you achieve something, which was crazy, even though you don't think that it is the case. Yeah.
If you have to rate how important the preparation is, I know it's impossible because without good preparation you can't even achieve 100%. But if you are talking about good preparation, how much of success does preparation already bring onto the table?
I can mention a concrete number. It's between 0 and 100%.
Okay, thank you very much. You could also have said, that's a stupid question.
But I think it's all about the mental preparation in my perspective. And you need this too. It's not about the technical, the tactical preparation and the riding line, the equipment. It's also the mental stuff. And that's really important. This is key that you reach this performance.
All right, Simon, you are the one with the clock, so I'm begging you. I think we are 70 minutes in. I'm begging you for maybe 5 to 6 more.
Go for it. I think we have a bunch of questions coming in. Let's get to the people at home.
That is right, and that's the reason why I would like to tackle a few of those. Marie. And that's already showing us that we are working towards the right direction with tips on how to deal with risks and uncertainties in cases like a career move. Mental health being a key factor here, Jörg. You know, there are so many people transitioning currently. Are there any tips how to evaluate? Should I do it? Should I not do it?
May I suggest something?
Of course.
Yeah. Worst case scenario. Do it. If you feel it, do it. Like, what's the worst case that's going to happen? Can you survive the worst case? I think this is what I do.
You are already back with
sorry. Yeah,
absolutely.
I think it works so often for me.
In cases where there is not so much risk involved, basically, and it's just a career move where you could maybe go back into your old career, into your old job, would you say sometimes that's a proper example for don't overthink it? If you feel it in your gut and if you see that this could work for you, just tackle it.
Absolutely, because the last two candidates, they are they're chosen, and they're making some stupid psychological tests. But in normal cases, it's your stomach who is deciding for one of these candidates. What I want to mention is also that mental health and personality, to reflect your personality, this is the baseline to perform better, and to perform better means also to make good decisions.
Ella Fredriksson, probably from Sverige, at Simon. Why is Audi as a premium brand pushing action sports? Is there not a conflict of interest group somehow?
Thank you so much for that question, Ella. I think I know who it is.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say we push action sports or one just one sport. We push the people behind it. And in this case, it's, you know, we like working with Xavier and the mindset behind it. And I think action sports in general is a very progressive area of sports, right? Where yeah, getting better is more than just maybe getting a little bit faster or jumping a bit further. But it's yeah, about finding new ways to really show yourself. And I think that's really what Audi is after here, is the personalities behind it.
That sounded really rad. And I'm blushing a little bit.
J5K, if I do see that right, Xavier. A little technical question, but why not? This is for later, getting in early. What techniques do you use to improve your edge hold when splitboarding, touring on traverses?
Before using Kuto? That's a yeah, very practical technique. But it's just basically, if it becomes technical, lock in your binding, lock in your high backs in riding position. Make sure everything is really tight and try to slide your feet really to create friction. I think this would be the basic tip I could give.
Or I have a tip. You are joining Xavier at the Audi Freeride camp 1st and 2nd of April to learn exactly that.
Great plug.
Yes.
Nice one.
There we are.
Amazing transition.
We're going to be for that question. Carlos Müller. Hola amigo Xavier. When you have only the just pray and go option at a non-well predicted phase of the phase, kind of, you know, where you ended up in a place where you didn't want to end up, how do you exercise or prepare your mind for that situation?
Well, if you're in that phase when you can't turn back, then you need to deal with it. And like I think you mentioned it, Jörg, before. Once you've dropped in, you can't turn back. Usually, if you can turn back, do it. But yeah, once again, it's like if you have the option of really putting all your options together, you need to, but just stay calm, trust yourself. I don't know, it's a tough one because it's very variable, but yeah.
Vlad Legendi. Jörg, could you please shed some light on the aspects you tackle with athletes and how would you advise someone to go about starting their career in this field?
You know, in a normal case, they're not coming starting the career. They're coming sometimes as already good athletes, developed athletes, and they wanted a little bit to increase the mental toughness or the resilience. So I think in my case, I work a lot with these mental methods, as we mentioned before, with visualization, mindset, relaxation techniques, and also trance techniques to build up all this energy and this decision making in the unconsciousness. That means you also have to go in the unconsciousness. So that means don't reflect too much and don't think not too much rationally. That means we interact as psychologists, like therapists, also with the unconsciously.
Xav, you said, well, I've never worked with a mental coach. After today's masterclass, would you say, oh, stupid me, this is really what I missed in my career, even though you did well, and that's what Jörg underlined?
No, I give you the answer. He should not, because it's perfect what he's doing. When if he reflects too much, then he's going from his stomach to the head.
But let's go back 20 years.
Yeah,
When it was the young Xavier.
And I think I had really this thing where I was just exactly as you say, like, you know, confident, trust myself, it works, I don't think too much, I don't have any issue really to try to solve. But it's funny because looking back really
at the beginning
long after, like so a long-term debrief, I kind of have the feeling that it could have helped me a lot to put a little bit of theory behind it all and have a few more keys. And I think it took me quite a while also to develop, to find myself, to find exactly what was my style, which were my abilities and stuff. And I may have saved a lot of time doing it, but yeah,
maybe
I think
only a partner to reflect. That's maybe enough.
What's that? Sorry.
And maybe only a partner to reflect.
Yeah. Could be. And I've had some maybe people that coach me a bit mentally without being officially a coach. I guess like close people,
mentors.
But yeah, very often in life when you have a real science about something, it does help. Like when you have a pro next to you, and yeah, it's very interesting, I find. Yeah.
All right.
Enriching.
Well, what a masterclass it was, Jörg. Thanks so much. Leaving to Far East fairly soon. We cross our fingers for a successful campaign. Xavier, obviously thanking also you for your time, for your efforts, the blood, the heart, and sweat you put in to fine-tune the show run with us together. Obviously, Simon, making all this possible and happen. Thanks so much. If you liked what you saw, send us your feedback. We will obviously share another poll with you on how we can improve, what could be done better. I know there were so many more questions to be answered. I'm sorry, I'm blaming it on me that we could not answer all of that, but I hope you still are happy with what you heard and with what you saw. I guess Xavier is kind of making up for that. They can Instagram you, send the messages to Xavier, and he will definitely get back to you. Visit him in Verbier, 1st and 2nd of April. Lines and
angles.
Lines and angles.
Yeah, it's like a weekend. We're gonna go free riding and go deep into all the technical aspects. So yeah, everything, like filming, like technique, touring. It's gonna be fun.
Ladies and gentlemen, from all of us here in Verbier, we wish you a absolutely awesome winter season ahead of us. So far, it was mediocre to slow, I'd say. But
I actually really enjoyed it. Yeah. It's been safe. It's been nice. There's been amazing weather to do amazing things. So I'm really happy.
All right. Well,
so let's hope it continues like this.
Exactly. Yeah. We wish you more snow. We wish you a safe and pleasant winter season. Make sure you tune in again the next time. Make sure you visit us in Verbier again, 1st and 2nd of April 2022. That's it from us here in Verbier. It's a wrap. Thank you very much and all the best to you guys.
Thank you.